Hello everybody, welcome to my weird and wonderful world, and I'm going to go through my top 10 favorite bands, artists, or even you'll see as I go along. Now, these are my favorite bands kind of currently as running now. I mean, it is kind of based on what I've been listening to throughout my lifetime, but these are the bands that either because they're just kind of new to me or that I keep going back and playing it quite a bit and or that I love their musicianship, the way they put their songs together, their lyrics, whatever it may be. Yeah, this top 10 here represents an overall, especially at the current moment of where I am in my life and how things are going. These 10 represent pretty much my musical taste all around, and a lot of the music I listen to is kind of relates to a lot of this in many ways. Well, anyway, before I become too cryptic with it, I want to just get into it. I want to start off with first a kind of a genre of music that I listen to a lot. This is in my number 10 position. But I want to say these rock and like instrumental stuff, instrumental music, like for example, all these great songs. I know it's kind of hard for you to see all those, but I have like there's 60 songs of the most awesomest, greatest, instrumental stuff that I know of. I mean, and of course I'm talking. There's also the 8 classic albums of the Ventures. There's 8 different separate albums of the Ventures on here. I mean, I love this, and it's all mostly instrumental stuff. And even lately, and I could put Steve Vai or Joe Satriani or even see Yngwie Malmsteen or the Battles in that category too of instrumental stuff because I keep going back to it. So that's why that's at the number 10 position for sure. And I want to include that too, of course. This new Rycooter that I got. It's really good. It's better than I was expecting it to be. I really love the calmness of it, and it's such a chill album. But yeah, it's spectacular. I love it. I love the instrumentality. I love the sound of the guitar. How Hawaiian it sounds to me. It has such a strong Hawaiian hula type of music. I love it. Now, in the number 9 position, of course. Now, a lot of people would suggest this album from this artist, and I'm talking about Matthew Sweet. Yeah, he's in the number 9 position because no, I keep going back to Matthew Sweet, and specifically this album, 100% Fun. But there's other albums I really, really love of Matthew Sweet. There's In Reverse, there's Blue Sky on Mars, just to name a couple, and there's some of his newer stuff too that's really good. I have quite a few, but I'll just to show you some of my more favorites from the artist. I would say, yeah, this one is pretty much my favorite. But this, in some ways, I would recommend these two. I couldn't really pick which one I wanted to say more about, so I recommend these two: Girlfriend and 100% Fun. Now, in my number 8 position, I want to go with a a particular artist, and so his first band, and this is I say one of the more recognizable albums of his band, Husker do in the beginning, like kind of punkish in some respect. It's a pretty interesting album. I enjoy it. But then later he went off and formed this band called Sugar, which made a few albums, and I highly recommend the album Copper Blue, of course, as being the jumping jumping in point to this band. But of course, I'm talking about a guy named Bob Mould, and this is Workbook, his first actual debut solo album after kind of when after Husker Du and Sugar kind of fizzled out. So there's Bob Mould there sitting in the chair and amongst his songs. So it's Bob Mould, Sugar, like anything that has Bob Mould in it, basically. So Bob Mould's in all of this, so that's who I'm recommending right there is Bob Mould. All his works, regardless of who he was with. So that I'm putting all that in one lump into number 8 because I really love his songwriting. I love his guitar playing style and everything. He's underappreciated, probably, I would say. Now, in the number 7 position, as I'm working my way to the number 1, of course, would be, and I would suggest this album. It's called The 13th Step. And this is a perfect circle with my favorite singer of all time, Maynard James Keenan. He's my favorite male vocalist of all time, for so many obvious reasons. Yeah, so that's why this is at the number 7th position, and I'm not rating it's not the albums per se. I'm just showing you kind of my favorite stuff from each artist. I'm talking about the artist in full, of all their works and everything. So that's a perfect circle would be in the number 7th position. And then in the number 6th position, of course, would be Puscifer. And of course it would Maynard James Keenan, and of course it would be Conditions of My Parole. That's the album I would highly suggest. It has such a great. All the songs are pretty great in it, like starting with Tiny Monsters, The Green Valley, Monsoons, Telling Ghosts, Horizons, Man Overboard, Toma, The Rapture, Conditions of My Parole, which I love that video, The Weaver, Oceans, and Tumbleweed. It's such a well-rounded album. It's such a relaxing and I love the beat structure, and Puscifer is in the number 6 position. Now, I would put some of this stuff higher, but now we're getting into my top 5 favorite groups or artists that I'm going back to and listening to a lot, and that I can't really say enough about. And there's so many I could have chosen, but these were the ones that, of course, popped right, like they floated right to the top. So in the number 5 position, I want to go with Belle Sebastian. And as a jumping off point, that was the first album I ever heard of, and for the longest time was the soul album that I was listening to, and then maybe a good 8 years after discovering this band that I started hearing other works of the band, and now I have pretty much their whole catalog of albums. I have quite an extensive catalog of Belle Sebastian, and it's in my number 5, but I still call it my deserted island band. If I was on a deserted island and I can only bring the entire works of one band onto the island, I would have to pick Belle Sebastian, just for the variety of music, the jauntiness of the songs, the decrypting those some of those lyrics, and figuring out what he's really trying to say. I love this band, and I suggest people take a listen to some of their albums, because I really think they're a great band, and again, maybe a little underrated. And now, I want to go with my number 4 band. Now, as favorite albums go, there is a third, but I want to talk about their 2 seminal albums. With first with 2112, and then we got Moving Pictures, and And actually, I have that in backwards. I got the back. I need to turn that around. I don't know how that got mixed up like that. Cause probably the last time I went and played it and had the lyrics out. But yeah, there we go. That's much better. That's the actual front cover. There we go. So yeah, 2112 and moving pictures. And of course, I would also want to throw in there into that because you can't not think of Rush without thinking of the number three. Three. They have a theme of threes in their band. Of course, being three guys, a trio. So I wanted to throw in a third album into that mix with Hemispheres. So so these are always the best place to start with Rush. But even their later works there, like especially Clockwork Angels, it's actually a pretty great album, and I've been kind of listening to it. It's still in my heavy rotation box. So yeah, Rush is in the number 4 position. Now we're in my top 3. Now I really wanted to put this band because this is a recent band, just in the last couple of years that I started listening to them, and I love everything I've been hearing so far of them. There's still quite a bit of stuff I haven't heard yet, but everything that I have heard from them, I love. I love it all, and that. Yeah, it's Sparks. I'm putting them in the number 3. I really wanted to put them in the number 2 position, but there is another band that I'm just recently getting into, and yeah, but I want to throw in this album as my favorite album from Sparks for sure. And there's a few others I could mention, of course. There's Kimono in My House, and then there's The Girl Is Crying in Her Latte, which are fantastic. I just recently had gotten Hello Young Lovers, and I'm loving that. That's in my heavy rotation too right now. But yeah, Sparks. That's in the number 3 position. So what could have beaten Sparks to the number 2 position? And lately I've been really like everything that I've been buying. I have 4 albums of this group, but this one here, Nonagon Infinity, is my favorite so far that I own. I still really love Flying Microtonal Banana, but I play that on YouTube. But I really want that album. But of all the albums that I own, this one here is in its own right a masterpiece. I consider it. I love that, and I'm so interested in getting so much more of their albums. I pretty much want them all now, as many as I can get of King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. I'm addicted. I'm invested. So yeah, but again, I want to say when it comes to these two right now, these are neck and neck as bands that are kind of captivating and and keeping my attention and really like making me scratch my head with their techniques and their wording and yeah, I love these both kind of almost equally. So 2, 3, yeah, they're kind of interchangeable right now in my mind because I love them both. But of course, you know where this is going, what my number 1 is, and what it's always going to be, and for as long as I live, this is their height for me. That's their height of their awesomeness, the height of the greatness. To me, there's no better masterpiece than Lateralis. It is the album, the like the quiz that yeah. I'm so tongue tied because it's still an album that gives me like pride that that I got to experience this album in the way that I did. Yeah, and still even to this day, it still mystifies me, and and lighten like it brightens my heart. Anytime I think about this album, it just makes me Yeah, it just makes me happy to be alive and breathing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's why this is always going to be number one. And that's pretty much my top 10 kind of favorite bands slash genres that I've been listening to lately. That's really like, I mean, there's so many others I would love to have mentioned. Like in my top, like in the from 11 to 20, like that list would be such a much more difficult list to make. How could I rank some of those other stuff that I love so much? You know? Yeah, yeah. But right at the moment, those 10, and that's going again from like I wrote them down. So I have the instrumental, the Matthew Sweet, the Sugar, well Bob Mould and Husker do kind of combo thing. Perfect Circle, Puscifer, Belle Sebastian, Rush, Sparks, King Gizzard, and then Tool. Like, and then of course King Gizzard and Sparks, they're interchangeable. You could switch those around if you want. It really makes no difference. I love them equally. Yeah, that they're kind of slightly better than Rush, and Rush are fantastic. They're yeah, but that's my ranking. That's how they lined up. So I'm just gonna let it go here, and as always, please be safe, take care. I will see you on the flip side, and please everybody have a great day, evening, night, wherever you may be. Peace, everybody.